On the show today, we're taking you back in time so you can have an epic 2025.
Welcome to JFDI with the Two Lauras, the weekly podcast for freelancers working in social media. Every Tuesday, we're here to share tips and advice and hopefully to inspire you in your daily life as a business owner. Today, we're taking you back to your why, which sounds a little bit woo for us, but trust us, it won't be. It's important to remember why you do what you do so you can do it better and so you can get the results that you want and you can make 2025 your best year yet. So, before we dive into the show, Laura, I want to ask you, what would you say is your why?
Why I do what I do is because of the kids.
Yeah.
I put the kids first. I'd like to sit here and say it was, I wanted the best life for them and all of that. It wasn't that at the time. Obviously, I obviously want the best. I've always wanted the best for my children, but that wasn't the driver. The driver for me was that I wanted to be at home when they got home from school. I wanted to be here. I wanted to do the school run. I wanted to be part of their day-to-day lives. I didn't want to just be waving them goodbye at sunrise and waving hello when they were going to bed. I just didn't want that. And so that was my driver. That's what gave me the impetus to go self-employed.
Is that still the same?
Well, they're older now, so I don't have to do the school runs. And some days I do think it would be nice if I wasn't here at 3:00 when they walk in with all their woes of the day. I think it's still about the kids and my relationship with Neil. It's just about having a better life. I'm a very much the cliche of you only live once, and I didn't want to waste, and I don't want to waste my life helping somebody else get their dream life.
Yeah.
I wanted to create my own kind of dream life. Realistically, I'm not talking about, I'm still doing the school run. I still wash everyone's pants and socks. I still, have to load the dishwasher 25 times a day.
You don't have a maid.
Yeah, I still have to pick up the dog shit. I'm not, I'm very realistic. Yeah. I'd say my why is the same in terms of it's about family life, but the specifics, I guess, have moved on because we've moved on as a family.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. Well, the reason that I went freelance, obviously I've had businesses since I can remember, but the reason I went freelance when I had William was because literally no one would hire me. So at that point, that was my why. I needed to make money and I couldn't get a job. But then after that, it became so that I could continue to make money and have that flexibility of when I wanted to work. And I've always said it's so that I can work from anywhere, including a hospital waiting room or a hospital ward. But William's been in hospital loads recently and I've done no work in hospital whatsoever. So I've realised that that's actually a lie that I'm telling myself.
No, but that's because we've built a business that doesn't rely on that.
Yeah,
so
it is. But also, it's also because I didn't want to. I just wanted to watch shit reality TV. So that's what I did. But my why now is slightly different. When we're working and we're I don't know, say we're having a bad day, I have to remind myself that the reason that we're doing this is because at some point, William won't be at school. He will probably be at home with me all the time and I might not have that opportunity to do that. So I almost feel like now is my time. Do you know what I mean? And if I don't do it now, when will I?
What I think is really interesting is because I thought about this earlier when we were thinking, I knew you'd say, Laura, what is your why? And originally I was going to say...
it didn't give it away that it was in the notes that we wrote, no?
But I did think I could say it was because I was made redundant when I was pregnant and then I couldn't get a job, a flexible job. But and you said, well, because no one would hire me. But that isn't the why, because we could have both sat on our asses.
Yeah, totally.
And gone on benefits and done fuck all. But we're the type of people who do want to work. We do want to, have a successful life, regardless of whether that's as an employee or as a business owner. So that, your why will have been William, but your drive to to do that.
That is very
because
true.
we could have both been just sat on benefits watching Homes Under the Hammer and Loose Women every day.
Very true.
Which,
very true.
Sometimes I think would
I mean,
be quite nice.
I do quite often have Loose Women on in the background when I'm working, but, don't judge me on that.
Yeah, okay.
But
we won't judge.
You're right, yeah. And I think, like you said, I didn't want to work for somebody where that person is reaping all the benefits. Like, I don't want to be leaving my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, sitting in traffic for ages, going and sitting in someone else's office where they're dictating when I'm allowed to go and have lunch and when I'm allowed to leave, only so that they can go and jet off on a nice, fancy swanky holiday, and I'm still counting the pennies. Like, no thanks.
Yeah. I can't. That's literally the thing that would mean that I would never ever go back to employment unless, something awful happened and I had to. But for as long as I have that choice, the thing that stops me is having to ask for annual leave.
Yeah. And the risk of someone saying, no, you can't because Bob's already booked it.
Yeah.
And
that juggle, I see my friends who have got, 5 or 6 weeks annual leave and then the kids are off for 20 weeks of the year. It's that. The maths
it's like modern slavery, really, if you think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
So don't ever tell me I've got to book annual leave with you, Laura, because I'll be off.
Okay, I'll send you the form later. No, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because I know a lot of social media managers go freelance because similar to us, they want to be their own boss. They don't want to do the community. They don't want to have to ask for time off. They want that freedom and flexibility so they can do whatever it is that they want to do whenever they want to do it for the kids, go and travel, all of that stuff. And then they hit this point where they're not making the money that they want to make. And they've kind of put their own cap on themselves, if you like. So then they go back to work and they then have to go and do all those things they didn't want to do. But when you're a freelancer, if you keep reminding yourself that one of the reasons that you went freelance was because you have that freedom, you can, the opportunity is there for you to make the money that you want in your business. It's not capped like a salary. You don't have to just work the hours that they're telling you. You don't have to just do those specific tasks they're telling you. You can do whatever you want.
And you don't have to do what you set out to do when you first went freelance.
No.
You can tweak and you can change. When I first was a freelance social media marketer, all I did was work for clients. Then I went down more into consultancy, training. I learned new skills. You can change your business and build a business that changes with you and with your life and with your kind of goals and your interests. And you can't necessarily do that. You have to wait for opportunities with work. You have to wait for promotions or other jobs, or you have to wait for training budget if you want to learn something new. And
you have to wait for someone to say, yeah, you are better than that other person who also wanted to do the same thing. It's why? You don't have to put those limitations on you. And I'm pretty sure throughout this whole podcast we will talk a lot about money, but it isn't just about the money. It's about what that money can make possible for you and take you back to that why of that freedom and flexibility, that opportunity to travel, the opportunity to do this, whatever it is you want to do with the kids, because you can pay for other people to do whatever it is that you need them to do. I have a cleaner, for example. There's no way we could be cleaning my house. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to be able to make enough money to pay a cleaner. So I make sure that I do that. So, it's about having that opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. Choices.
Exactly. So how do we take all of that into next year so that we can make sure that next year is brilliant, our best year yet, and all of that stuff without being all woo-woo, and go back to that stuff of this is why we're doing this thing?
Well, I think you all have to take stuff like we've just talked about. Our whys can shift slightly, can't they, and change because our lives shift and change, and no one's lives are ever static. So it's about taking time to sit down and remind yourself of your why. Or you don't even have to sit down. You can walk the dog. You can walk.
Thanks for permission for that, Laura.
You can run. You can do whatever you like. You can drive the car. Whatever. Just take it. Just remove yourself from the day-to-day grind. And think, what is my actual why? What is going to motivate me and what does motivate me? Maybe what remind yourself of that original why and then review that why, but essentially taking the time to reset that, because it's easy to forget, it's so easy, especially if you've had a bit of a crappy week or things maybe not be going your way. It's easy to forget that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, what does being your own boss mean to you? What does being a freelancer mean to you?
Yeah.
And if you are your own boss and you are your own freelancer, what does that make possible in your life? Just keep reminding yourselves of all of that stuff.
And if you're new, what do you want it to mean for you? Yes, you've said I'm going to be a freelancer, but what does it actually look like for you? Because if you don't have that front of mind, especially when you're starting out, you make bad mistakes, don't you? You end up working harder than you ever worked, earning less than you've ever earned. It's, so having that at the forefront of your mind when you start out and figuring out what that why looks like for you.
Put it on a Post-it. We love putting things on a Post-it.
A whiteboard would be nice.
Yeah. I think this is where the whole woo vision boards type thing comes in, isn't it? Because it's kind of that constant reminder of what it is you want to achieve, or what it is that made you do this. And as much as I'm not into the woo vision boards and stuff, like, if that's what's going to remind you of why you're doing what you're doing, do it. If that's going to be the thing that's in your mind.
Yeah, people have it on their screensavers, don't they?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Kelly, one of our members, I think, still does that. I've got Chris Hemsworth as my screensaver, so
I mean, who wouldn't?
That's my vision board.
Very on brand.
That's my why.
Love it. And I think it's also, like, going back to what you just said, it's about remembering that you have got choice. Like, if you've done all that work and you've gone back and you're like, oh, these are the things I wanted to achieve, these are the reasons that I'm freelance, all of that stuff, and you know what it is you want to do, you have to remember that you have choice. You don't have to do the things that you don't want to do. If a client says to you, I want you to travel to my office every month, you don't have to do that. You can decide, you can say, no, I'm not doing that. You can say, okay, I will do that, but it's going to cost you this amount of money. Or you can just get rid of them and get another client, because there's no one dictating to you who you have to work with. You have so much choice. I think often people forget that they have choice, because when you've been in employment before, you're so used to not having a choice.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's that employee mentality that is quite hard, especially if you've made the shift into freelance life when you've got a few years as an employee behind you. It's very hard to move away from that. So when you start working with a client, you feel you have automatically, without realizing, you have this employee mentality where you're told what to do. They're paying you, so they tell you what to do. That's the hierarchy, but it doesn't work like that. You need to flip it, that you're in control. It's your business. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. And the beauty about our industry is that, generally speaking, apart from obviously doing the job, you can do whatever you want. You can set your own boundaries. You can set your own. I had this the other day with my client. I speak with them once a month, and he was like, right, I'd like to now speak a couple of times a month, and I'd also like you to speak to the marketing agency a couple of times. And I was like, no, absolutely not.
And she literally will have said it like that as well, by the way.
Yeah. And because they then know where they stand. There's no like, oh, what does she mean by that? Was that a yes or was that a no? That it was a category no.
Yeah.
Because there's no need. People like to talk for the sake of talking, and it's like, I don't need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't listen when we do.
You never listen to me either.
I still do my own thing. I do what's right.
Oh, I love it. But anyway, you have the choices about saying yes or no. You don't have to work with those crappy clients. You don't you literally do not have to. Yes, you might feel like, well, hang on, I do have to because I've got bills to pay. But you're a freelancer. You can make a plan to replace them with somebody else who will pay your bill and make you happier. It's all about choice. You get to choose who it is you work with.
You can work in an industry that you've just would love to work in, because you have a skill. As a social media marketer or an ads manager, you have the skill that you can help any industry. So if you've grown up loving, I don't know, the horse world, but you've never owned a horse, you can still go and help horse businesses. You can relive that childhood dream through the power of being a social media marketer for the horse industry.
Yeah.
Equine. think is the technical term.
I was in the pet shop at the weekend and there were so many puppies coming into the pet shop and I was like, oh, I really want to work in a pet shop just so I can see all the puppies. Maybe I should just do social for some sort of puppy
that would do well.
Shop. Yeah.
Any account where you could just chuck puppies on, you'd be laughing.
That'd be the dream. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. That is, if I was to do anything again, it would
perfect niche.
It would be an animal-related niche.
Yeah, definitely. Love it. But I think also on that, like with the whole niche thing, because we talk about niche a lot on this podcast, and even that, you have choice about who it is you choose to work with, and it might be pet shops, it might be equine, whatever. But like next week, you might change your mind, and you're allowed to change your mind.
Yeah,
nothing's set in stone. You can do whatever it is you want to change your mind. And if like whatever it is you're doing now has maybe fallen out of alignment with what you thought you were going to do, maybe at the beginning of the year, you can change that and you can make a plan so that next year you come back into alignment, you come back into what that real why was and make everything work towards that.
Yeah.
I think also there's something in with, like when you know what your why is, you can really kind of communicate that with people. And that is a good connection point, isn't it? Because your clients or the people who you want to work with, you want to attract, probably have similar reasons for having a business or for wanting to be a business owner or for wanting to outsource their social, whatever it is. It's that connection point, isn't it? That can kind of, help people to resonate with you. Obviously, you need to make sure it's useful, interesting content still, not just like, by the way, here's my why. Like no one cares about that. But there is a message in there that you can really connect with people, I think.
Yeah, and it's what we're not saying here, though, is because I see this a lot, that especially, if you're a woman and you've gone freelance because you want to be, similar to me, therefore your target audience is women, like mompreneurs. We're not saying that. No. What we're saying is that people can resonate. So like my client, well, it's not a female, but he is a parent. And he has the same drive for similar reasons because he wants to build a business. He wants to, his child is now an adult, but he had those same kind of motivations. But I didn't go out there saying, I'm only going to work with women who are like me.
Yeah.
It's just making sure that you align in those kind of, and you don't even have to align in those whys, but sometimes it's, as you say, it's that connection point. It's something that, you can realize you've got that same drive, maybe same values.
Like just by you mentioning that you're doing the school run or something on your stories, that then aligns with somebody who has just done a school run. They are like, oh, you're like me. And it's a connection point, isn't it? It doesn't have to be any deeper than that.
Yeah, I was just this morning, just before we recorded this podcast, on a call with someone in a marketing agency who I had preconceived ideas about, and he straight away got on the call and he was like, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm a bit late. I'm in Starbucks because something or other happened, and he was on the school run and blah, blah, blah. And straight away I kind of softened slightly because I suddenly thought, okay, well, I get that. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And so it's just how things are brought up in conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes obviously that isn't going to work. He could have got a completely different reaction because that could not have resonated with me.
Well, yeah, if he'd have said, I've just crashed my Ferrari, you would have thought, what a knob.
Yeah. Good.
Exactly. Yeah. Love it. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth using those sorts of things as connection points. I'm really interested to know why you, listening to our podcast, went freelance. I'm like, we all know I'm really nosy anyway, but I really want to know why you went freelance. So what is your why? What drives you? So come and find us on Instagram, drop into our Instagram DMs and just tell us. Because it's a good motivator to just make you think about it. And then come and tell us. And then maybe tell your audience too. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. We're on Instagram as The Two Lauras. Yeah, come and chat. Anything else you want to say on that, Laura?
Yes. So on next week's show, we're going to be building on this and use that life-first approach to goal setting in 2025. So you can do all the things you've wanted to do when you went freelance. So we'll see you then.
Ta-ra!
Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, German today.
Ja.